Hello and welcome, dear students, to our crisis situation course this second semester in the year of 2024. There are crises always. We are at the moment facing two brutal wars. One of them is being forgotten, the Ukrainian one, although there are people who are saying that Russia will attack NATO within the next 5 to 10 years and NATO cannot do anything about it. Just to prepare for it, it's very depressing. In this course, we are trying to have a look at previous crises, starting with the First World War, and looking at literature, which will be complemented by factual historical information. We want to assess and consider with you how these crises were dealt with by people at that time. And yes, of course, I'm totally aware that we are living now in a totally unpredictable situation. We don't know what's going to happen very shortly. Well, with these wars, but with other things, we've got the incredible problem of global warming. And of course, the other problem is AI, and we don't know whether AI will not destroy all jobs, what will actually happen, what society will be like. So maybe you could accuse us that we are trying to teach you to run the seminars and lectures on the basis of old-fashioned stuff which isn't relevant for the present. Well, I don't know. It is a problem. Nobody knows what's going to hit us. The only thing that we can do is to actually basically try to teach you flexibility and critical thinking. And that's what we want to do in this course. So the first five topics are Czech, Good Soldier Švejk by Jaroslav Hašek, a kind of Czech turn of the century satirist, is a very serious work, and it tries to answer the question, what would you do if you find yourself in a mayhem, killing field, mass killing field of the First World War? How do you actually get out of it or survive, escape? Karel Čapek, the interwar Czech writer, centrist, very politically aware, who worked with on the basis of science fiction themes where he examined very important problems, and incidentally invented the word robot and robotics, because in his play from the 20s, Rossum's Universal Robots, he actually created for the first time these artificial creatures, and the play was premiered on Broadway, and basically the word robotics and robot gained international recognition. And here there's another, War with the Newts is another kind of science fiction theme, and it is a kind of analysis of the situation in Europe in the second half of the 1930s, and you will be stunned to see how similar, and that's very worrying because we all know what happened in the Second World War, how very similar it is to what we're experiencing in Europe now. Incidentally, Čapek wrote one play, which we dealt with in our some other courses, called The White Disease, where he in 1936 predicted a pandemic which would be coming from China and kill mostly old people. Make of it what you will. Milan Kundera, the third topic in this Czech section of the course, was an ardent communist, even though he was quite critical after the communist takeover as a young man in the 1950s, and that became a kind of total trauma for the rest of his life. And he came to the conclusion on the basis of this that basically our brain is terribly limited because we make incredible mistakes. And that's what the novel The Joke, which kind of is dealing with Stalinism, but also with the imperfections in our perception of society. It's quite interesting that Jiří Pehe, professor of New York University, and this is a very recent book covering the whole 20th century, starting with the First World War, compare it to the Švejk work, is basically looking at the whole 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century from the vantage point of today. And finally, this film, The Owners, a Czech film, looks at how destabilizing the contemporary societies in Europe are when we are all under the influence of selfishness and nonsensical ideas and social networks. And then, of course, I don't want to go into too many details further on. We've got several Polish topics, starting with communism in Poland and other topics. A very well-known international travel writer, Ryszard Kapuczynski. And then to complement it at the end, we're looking at all these problems from the Hungarian point of view. I hope we will all survive this in good faith. In previous years, I don't want to sort of give you complexes, but I have to say that history students have been absolutely brilliant in producing their essays and exams in this course, complementing or comparing historical factual literature with these fictional works. And I think it works very well, even though I am kind of praising our own course, which is probably slightly out of order, but nevertheless, I'm looking forward to seeing you in January. All the best.